had my son on the back, and another motorbike just came around the car too fast, hit us from behind. I was sort of paralysed. And I had all these kind of negative thoughts. Who's going to save the kids if the house sets on fire? What are you going to feel like when you come to Ibiza with your mates in a wheelchair? And then the last thought, I just thought, you know, I'm never going to get to walk my daughter down the aisle. And I must have cried for about 10 minutes. I said, but how do you actually know I'm never going to walk? I used to lay there and just try and make my toes move. And it just moved. And from that moment, I thought, there's hope. I actually called the athletics committee whilst I was still in a hospital bed. And she said, oh, nobody has ever contacted me whilst still strapped to the hospital bed. Life continues.
So Ben, welcome to the show. I'm super happy to have you today. I think you have a very special and inspiring story for many reasons. I'd love you to tell me like what you've been through. You had a big accident a few years ago, and this a long recovery and kind of a big story to tell. So whenever you want.
Yeah, I mean, so, God, seems like a lifetime ago now. Is it 8 years? So August the 13th, 2017 was the date of my accident. And yeah, I mean, it seems to have gone so quick. But it was just one of these normal days. You know, you go out, you set out, and went out for a family day out. So me and the children, we've been down where I live. There's like a little coastal area. You go down there, catch crabs. This type.
Where are you from again?
From Norfolk.
Up
So
here,
in King's Lynn, England.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have a little coast around there. So my son at the time was 12 and my daughter was 10. So still young kids. They're not so little now, like massive. But yeah, we'd sort of planned this family day out. My daughter had actually never been on the back of a motorbike before. So we'd kind of gone there the day before, brought the kids all the safety stuff. Actually, on the morning of the accident, which is quite significant to like what we'll lead into, I know you want to talk about, but I woke up in that morning of this accident, and someone told me that my daughter shouldn't have been on the motorbike with me. So I
Someone
just,
told you what, like
no, just a gut instinct. Yeah, I woke
voice
up.
in
Yeah,
your...
voice in my head. Yeah, I woke up and said, like, Fern's not meant to be on this motorbike with me today. So it was almost like I subconsciously knew something was going to happen. So anyway, Fern didn't come on the bike. I had my son, and on the way back from this family day out, just normally riding, had a car behind me, and
It was just you on the back, idea?
just there was me on my bike and my son.
Okay.
So I had my son on the back.
Okay.
And another motorbike just came around the car too fast, didn't see us, hit us from behind, knocked us off, and yeah, I snapped my back. So from my nipple line down, I was sort of paralysed. Yeah, I mean, but I knew the minute even laying there, like I was laying on the road.
You lost conscious?
No, I was still conscious.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was kind of, there was a lady who was the first to arrive at the scene, and I was saying to her, like, look, please, like, take my helmet off, and she's like, I'm not touching you. And I actually lost my temper. I was like, will you take my fucking helmet off, type thing? And she's like, I'm not touching you. So then I said to her, I was like, will you uncross my legs? Because my legs literally just, I was face down, felt like my legs were crossed. And she said, Ben, your legs aren't crossed. And I said to her, I said, oh, I've broken my back. And she said, oh, I don't know.
Were you in pain or no?
I can't remember being in pain at that moment in time. I think obviously with adrenaline and everything, your body just protects itself. But I can remember I got airlifted, so a helicopter came, and I got airlifted from there to our local sort of major trauma hospital. And I can remember being in the helicopter strapped up, and they put a board up, and it was like blink once if you're in pain, or something like that. So I can remember blinking as if to say, like, yeah, I'm in pain. Your body forgets pain, actually, believe it or not. So I think, you know, I always think of women when they go through childbirth, like it's horrific, but they forget it and they have another child. So your body just does that. We don't remember what kind of hurts us. But yeah,
your son, sorry?
my son was fine. So I obviously didn't know this at the time, but I think he had a few cuts and bruises. He ended up having a couple of nights in hospital, but I didn't know that at the time. But once I got through to the hospital, I ended up having a 10-hour operation where they kind of cut me open, and I've actually got metal rods from like here to there.
From the front?
Yeah, from the back.
From the back.
Literally, if you YouTube these videos, like they're horrific. They literally
okay.
cut you open. I mean, I damaged my spinal cord and my spine, so they fixed these rods. So the two vertebrae.
So what? The spine was broken.
Snapped my spine. Yeah, so
they have to put it back together.
so you get obviously your T1, T2, T3, T4, and the higher you break, typically the worse you are, you know, in terms of spinal cord injuries. And I broke my T4. Had I broke T2, T1, then I probably wouldn't have had the use of my arms. You know, people can't track it off me, so they can't breathe. So, you know, this is a fairly high injury. But it was a 10-hour operation, so yeah, fixed my spine. So I've got metal rods from there to there now. I've got some pictures on my phone I'll have to show you. They seem like they've got screws like this, like in there. It's this crazy thing.
Proper like fixing.
Yeah,
like, wow.
yeah. It's a big operation. But I can kind of come out of the operation. Obviously, I think this is like next day type thing. And then really I can just remember being in and out of consciousness for maybe a week. So people would come in and be like, I'd open my eyes and you'd be standing there and I might say a couple of words and then I'd fall back to sleep. And then I'd wake up and somebody else was there. I was just so in and out of consciousness. And then, yeah, just...
I mean, that's a pretty heavy operation in your body, I think, to recover from that.
That's crazy.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a big, like, anything 10 hours, you know, I was cut open for, and I was in intensive care for many months. I say many months, many weeks, actually. And, yeah, it's just kind of like this big recovery from there on, really, like a big, massive load of acceptance.
So, and how long did you stay in the hospital after the surgery?
So I was at this one hospital for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, I think, something like that, like intensive care. Because the thing with the spinal cord is it doesn't just affect, like, you know, it affects everything. So anything below there, you know, I couldn't wee, I couldn't poo. Like one of the worst bits of pain I was in actually was just couldn't go to the toilet. So for like, I think something like 10 days, I actually didn't have a poo. And they was filling me with laxatives and I felt so much pain of just like
keeping all this shit
just inside. And the relief once I'd actually gone from there, that was like quite
the best of your life.
Like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was in a bad way. So I was in intensive care for quite a while. And I didn't actually remember how much pain I was in until I went to revisit them after I'd come out of hospital. I was in my wheelchair. I just wanted to go say thank you to everybody. Like, you know, thank you for caring for me. And I had some lovely nurses, like generally just lovely people. And she said, "Oh, do you want to go back to see where you was, your ward?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said,
your what, sorry?
Like the ward I was in, so my room.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I can't actually remember being in pain." But when I got in there, I was like, "Oh, I can actually remember being in lots of pain."
All the flashbacks.
Yeah. And she said, "Yeah, Ben, there were stages you was telling us to cut your legs off. Like, I don't need them, they don't work." Because I had like...
And you don't remember that?
Just, I do now. Yeah, I had like phantom pains where it felt like someone had a rope around the top of my legs and it was just getting tighter and tighter, like a nerve pain. And I mean, the majority of that was self-inflicted by me because I've never cried in my adult life like I have now, but I hadn't done. You know, I've been brought up, my dad, you know, man's man, I've got two brothers. We all boxed from a young age, you know, we was just
very
brought up to be tough, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad's just old school, you know, never tells us he loves us, you know, he does, but he's just, it's not the way for the boys.
Very quietly.
He might tell the girls, he don't tell the boys, you know? And the first memory really of being conscious, I can remember laying in the hospital bed, I had the curtain pulled around me, and I've told this story a couple of times, but it's true, it's big, significant to me actually. I was laying there, and I'd gone from this lad who would run up a road to save anybody, you know, I was just, my physical ability, I believed in myself, I was confident, and I was a superhero to the kids, you know. And I laid there and I thought, like, who's going to save the kids if the house sets on fire? Or, you know, what are you going to feel like when you come to Ibiza with your mates in a wheelchair? And I had all these kind of negative thoughts going through my head.
Yeah.
And then the last thought, I just thought, you know, I'm never going to get to walk my daughter down the aisle. And I sobbed, I sobbed my eyes out.
Yeah,
I cried. I just burst out. It's like so much emotion come out. And I must have cried for about 10 minutes. And the nurse came round and she sort of pulled the curtain back and I just sort of finished crying. And it almost gives me a little tear now thinking about it. And she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." So I've actually just sobbed. And she said, "Oh, Ben, but look, you know, this is a life-changing injury. You're going through a lot. Like, it's okay."
Yeah,
And
you
I
have
said,
a
"No,
very good reason to
like,
sob now.
I don't cry. Like, I'm not a crier." And in many ways, I suppose I see it as a form of weakness. You know, like I kind of just didn't want to be weak. You know, I just wanted to kind of accept it. And I had a morphine drip. So obviously, every time you're in pain, you could hit a button, and if you was allowed, like you was only allowed so many shots of morphine per hour. So if you was allowed one, that would give you one. If not, it was just kind of like a false click as such. And I said, "Look, I want this morphine drip took out because I believe that's what's made me cry. Like I'm not a negative person, and
I'm just high on morphine now."
And I said, "It's just a morphine." Like I'd always had this stigma of like heroin and stuff, like being
I'm just high, guys.
Yeah,
I'm the tweak. I'm just high.
Exactly. So I was like, I want it took out. And she said, "Oh, I don't think we can do that." I said, "Well, I don't want it. I'd rather be in pain and positive than actually sit here crying my eyes out. Like I don't care." So I had this big debate. She had to get the doctor, the specialists, and they was all saying, "Look, you need it." I said, "I don't want it. Like you need to take it out." So after me complaining for so long, they actually removed it. So I had no pain medication here after this big operation. And like I said, I could never remember being in pain. But when I went back to visit the hospital, I was like, oh, I was actually periods telling them to cut my legs off. Oh, and I asked for it. But I'm grateful for it. You know, I've always been a bit like that. Never used to take headache tablets or anything because I just had this belief that, you know, if every time you get a headache, you give your body a headache tablet, like your body then doesn't work for itself. And I just thought that was my attitude towards the accident. Like just let your body heal and do its thing.
Oh, wow. And so, I mean, you told me, like, I think the most incredible part of your story is that the doctors told you that you're probably never going to walk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so how do you feel? What do you think when someone is saying that you're never going to walk?
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you answer to that statement?
I mean, honestly, I always lived my life like everything happens for a reason. And like when I look back at my life now, I think everything I kind of done, like that accident was always going to happen in my eyes. That was it's just God's plan. And everything I'd done previous to that was just setting me up to deal with it, you know, and maybe be an inspiration and inspire people and do these podcasts. You know, I boxed my whole life. I feel that's an individual sport. You only get out what you put in. You know, no one else helps you when you're in there. And that was the same sort of thing with walking. So I always had this impression if I'd have probably played football my whole life as a team sport, maybe I wouldn't have had the same vision of recovery, you know. So everything was setting me up to that. But I just was really accepting from the day that I woke up. My first question was, is Jude okay? He was fine. So I thought, look, I'd rather push myself around in a wheelchair than actually have to push my son. And I knew from the start that if I was down and depressed, it would affect everyone around me. So I just accepted this injury instantly. Now, when you're in hospital,
from
like,
day one, you're just like, this is the way it's going to be.
From the moment I woke up, this is it. You know, like I just was like, I don't care.
There was like, it's the end of life.
My son's fine. I don't care about me. Like that was all that mattered. Like you know, being a parent is the best thing about me, and I love it. You know, so from the day I had my children, my life was never about me anyway. That was always about raising two kids to be the best they could be. So I was happy.
Do you think you would have the same kind of reaction to the situation if you didn't have a child?
No, 100%. No, my outlook's been, you know, the kids always say to them, like, without you, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't be here because I had to be strong for them, you know, and teach them. I think they learn more about life in this period of me recovering than they ever would, you know, like life throws us curveballs and nothing straightforward. And they've seen me go through this, not quit. You know, they've learned how to be strong in these certain situations, you know. So they was definitely I owe them everything, really, I do, you know. But because I had this level of just acceptance, now when you're in hospital, like they have certain doctors and nurses who have to deliver the news for you. It's quite, you know, some people take it well, so they have to deliver it in a way. So I'd kind of been on my iPad quite quick, you know, researching it. I'd become a spinal injury expert within a month. You know, I just read about it, so I understood it, and I had the knowledge, and I could ask the right questions. And I kept saying to him, like, you know, what, am I going to walk again? And they'd be like, oh, you know, we don't really know yet. We'll just speak to them. But I'd cherry picked enough information from all the specialists to think, I know they're going to tell me I'm never going to walk. So I'd always, and then I'd say to my mum and dad and my brothers, like, they're going to tell me I'm never going to walk again. They used to be like, you don't know that. You don't know that. I said, no, I have. So it was just me trying to accept it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And the lady who operated on me, she actually went on holiday that week. So she'd gone away for like 3 weeks. And on her return, I can remember being in bed. She came in to see me. My mum, my dad, and my brother was there. My brother had flown home from Australia to see me. And she was just like, how are you? How's things? Da, 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 da. And my older brother said to her, so is he going to walk again? Like, you know, is he going to walk again? Yeah, tell us, yeah. And she said, look, you know, unfortunately not. She said, your brother's made such a mess of his spinal cord. She said, you know, we took bits of bone out. She said, you know, he's never going to stand. And my stomach went like, whoa. Like, although I'd known it and I'd kind of processed it.
Now you know that you know
it. Yeah.
Like,
and I was like,
confirmation of
like,
your biggest fear.
And I said, told you so. And we sort of kind of went through this talk about it. And I said, at the end of like a 5-10 minute conversation with her, I said, but how do you know that I'm never...
The same day,
the same conversation.
Same conversation.
Yeah, she told me. Then my dad asked a few questions. We've sort of discussed it, the injury. I said, but how do you actually know I'm never gonna walk? And she said, well, look, you know, you made such a mess of it, Ben. She said, it's highly unlikely. And I said, but you've gone from never gonna walk to highly unlikely in 10 minutes. So there is hope, you know? And I just thought, right, if I just accept that from there and then, I'll accept the worst, but actually, let's see what happens, you know, like if I can. And at this moment in time, I had no sensation. I couldn't feel anything, couldn't move anything from my nipples down. Like,
so you had a very good reason to be hopeless.
Just literally, like, honestly, the first day they came round to give me physio, they was like, right, we're going to come round today and we'll just want to teach you to sit up. I was like, sit up, you know, this ladder box my whole life. I've been fit. What do you mean sit up? Like, I'll just push myself up. And she's like, right, what you need to do is you need to get your elbow in here, then you kind of do that and you do this. And I was thinking, I'm just going to do it. So I kind of tried to get myself up and I was like, whoa, I can't. Like, that was such a realization for me. I thought, I am broken. Like, I am so broken. So there was just all these like visualizations, but I had nothing. And, you know, we all need hope. You know, had my body not give me something to work with, then I still wouldn't be able to stand or walk. But I used to lay there and just try and make my toes move. You know, like just keep thinking, I look at my toes for hours because I was just on my back. I couldn't sit up, strapped there. All I could see was my toes, really. And it was almost like I tried to get them to wiggle.
The wiggling toe.
And it was just almost like I had a roadblock here. I could feel the signal getting stuck. Like that would get to here where my injury was, then go no further.
Like information from
just,
here,
yeah,
stops
from this, because it is just a highway of information. Like your brain's telling your body to do something. The spinal cord runs down your spine, nerves stem off, and they do the things, you know. And it was just like I had a roadblock there. And one day I just laid in and I was thinking, right, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. This was probably 8 weeks after, 7 weeks
8 weeks
after,
in the hospital.
Yeah. And I lay there and it just moved. Just like, I'm not.
Are you sure about that?
Just honestly, it just wiggled, and I had.
Do you think you imagined it, or you actually happened?
No, it did. It definitely did. And I had that. I thought, did that just do that, or was it? Because I had very bad spasms. So like your your muscles are regulated by your brain. So like, you know, you're sitting down now, but you're upright. Like each muscle has a certain amount of power to it to kind of keep you in this position. Well, if you imagine a classroom full of kids, they've got your teacher there. The kids are all under control because the teacher's got control of them, which is your brain type thing. You take the teacher out of the classroom, then all the kids start doing what they want, you know? And it's the same with your muscles. Once they've lost that connection to your brain, they kind of panic. So my legs used to just like shake, like really violently shake. Like you had them like this, and they do that for minutes because they're waiting for a signal. They don't know what to do, so they're just spasms, they call them. Yeah, it's horrific. And I thought, oh, was it a spasm? Right, just chill. And then I was like, wiggle, done it again. And from that moment, I thought, there's hope. Like, if I can wiggle my toe now, if I can build this to be someone else, like something is getting through. And that was kind of where the recovery started, from wiggling my toe.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
The wiggling toe.
Exactly. Like, just, see, you can't just think of the relief of just thinking, wow.
There is hope.
There's hope.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for anybody. You know, some people do it, and there's two types of injuries. Like, you have a spinal cord injury, which, you know, your spinal cord is probably half the width of your little finger. It's the consistency of like a banana. And it's, like I said, it spans from your brain to your bum. And typically the higher you damage, the worse you're going to be. And some people completely cut that. So if you have a complete injury where you fully cut that,
section,
there's no hope. Yeah, so it's
and
like,
that was...
And mine was incomplete. So I hadn't, there's still some strings attached. So obviously something starts to get through. And the problem with spinal cord injuries...
Does it rebuild itself over time?
So your nerves can actually regenerate. But the problem what it has is just like if you cut your hand now, you would probably get a scar. You know, your body heals, you get scar tissue. And it's the same with your spinal cord. So you've cut it, your body sends all these white blood cells to it to repair it, and it creates scar tissue. Well, your nerves can't then grow through the scar tissue. So in one aspect, it heals itself, but in the other aspect, it stunts any recovery. You know? So this is why like an incomplete versus complete is massive, because you can get some back. Like the doctor said, you might get a bit of sensation back. You might be able to just wiggle your toe, but you're never going to stand, you know? And I've just been lucky that I've got so much back. You know, I walk with crutches now. I can walk independently if I'm around here, you know, like holding on things. And I only put that down to the fact that I just didn't stress. Like from the day one, just accepted it.
Acceptance and hope.
And I wasn't down, you know, I just thought, right, this is it. I'm 32 years at the time. I thought, I've had a life. You know, I've got 2 kids, my kids are safe. Like, what have I got to really moan about? This is just the next chapter.
This is incredible, man. I think it's very, very, you don't realize, but this is incredible to get to this level of acceptance.
Yeah, and I just think it's just, I had that strong belief from a kid that everything happens for a reason. You know, some things I'd worry about as a kid, like never ever turned out to be what I worried about. And everything in my life always just worked itself out, you know, and I've always thought something good comes from something bad. I can remember being at a funeral as a young kid, and these, like, I always see these as like lessons to deal with this. I sat at a funeral. It was my mum's friend, and 2 of her brothers hadn't spoke for years. And I sat at the funeral and watched them at the bar talking, and I can remember thinking, do you know, it's such a bad day for everybody, funeral, yet there's good to come from it, you know. So that stood out to me. And I think that's what gave me that philosophy, like something good always comes from, if you look for it.
Optimism is such a superpower.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, before we continue, I think it's time for me to feed you.
I can hear my stomach rumbling.
I heard you came very hungry. You didn't have breakfast.
Yeah, perfect.
But you know what? I'm not going to feed you myself.
Okay.
Because when I asked you about your food preferences and likes, and you told me that your favorite meal was at Agua Madera. Your favorite dish was at Agua Madera.
Yeah, okay.
That you had this summer, right?
Yeah.
So what I've done is, like, I know the chef of Agua Madera.
Okay.
So I asked him to come
and
cook for you.
Perfect.
So that's the guy over there.
Exactly.
chef of Agamadera, who came here today just to cook that for you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man.
God, generally was my favourite dish. It's
Yeah.
it's delicious.
Do you remember what it was? Or,
Carpaccio, like I've
It was Wagyu Carpaccio. Yeah.
yeah, I've had it all over the place, but this was just different. I can remember, like, I mean, the restaurant and place is lovely anyway, but
it's incredible.
The whole, I was like, oh, I could eat this every day.
Okay, chef. So tell me what's up. Get it through this beautiful dish. I never had it actually, so I'm really curious actually about it.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you for inviting me to your house.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir. And yeah, that's like it's Carpaccio is A5, like it's a beautiful Carpaccio like of Wagyu.
A5 is like the most fatty one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most one. Yeah, like it's fatty, but it's like creamy, and if you eat it like raw, it can get like really fatty in your mouth. But like we're gonna choose the right ingredients to take it off. And that's the Wagyu Carpaccio. Some egg yolk, chives, cucumber from the garden, red onions, and the sauce. Yep.
Exactly as I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said it's going to be easy to eat with these,
Probably not.
and then the chef said it's going to be hard. So,
I just want to see you struggle a bit.
and you should mix it all up, especially that's how I done last time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Honestly, this was just, I don't know, it stood out so much. It was delicious.
You know what? It becomes even more beautiful when you mix it.
Yeah, I think you get the flavours. Surely that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea, like to mix everything.
It's like eating a burger, the bun, then the burger. It's not going to happen, is it? You got to eat it all in one go.
Yeah, it looks so beautiful when you mix it together.
Cool.
So, you know.
Also for the next time.
Good chopsticks, bro. You're good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming, chef.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think the way you told the story, I mean, there's so much beauty and hope and faith and optimism in the way you face this challenge in your life. But what really inspired me in you and inspires me is that you didn't stop there. So after the recovery and the education that took how long?
About 3 months in total. I was in hospital for.
Yeah.
And then obviously that's when the rehab really kicked off. But
And how long until you started to kind of walk?
probably 2 years till I kind of was able to take some
2 years.
steps. Yeah. I mean, it kind of all went from wiggling a toe to learning to stand to taking steps, that type of thing. Yeah.
And you didn't stop there. You
No.
decided to push yourself even more, and you've done a few crazy challenges the past few years. Tell me more about those challenges. What did you do? Why did you do it?
So the challenges really, I mean, the very, very first challenge I'd done. So I came out of hospital on a Friday, and in England there's a thing called park run. So they do them all over the country. It's like a 5K run, and they do them on a Saturday morning. We used to do them occasionally. So I came out of hospital on a Friday, and I wanted to prove to the kids like Dad was still Dad. You know, that was just my main goal. Like nothing's changed. If I've done it before, I'll do it again. So out of hospital on the Friday, and on the Saturday, me and Jude went and done the park run. So I'd literally just come out of hospital, went and done park.
After the re-education of 2 years? Or?
Yeah, no, this is after. So I'd been 3 months in hospital, strapped to a bed, up and down, a little bit of rehab. Got told I could leave the hospital. I was out for permanent.
But could you walk at this point?
I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair.
Okay.
But I turned up at the park run in my wheelchair.
Oh yeah, right.
And pushed a 5K around the park.
Of course.
With
Why not?
Jude. And honestly, I forget how long it took me. It took me about like an hour and a half, hour and 15.
To do 5K?
To do the 5K.
That's not bad.
In a wheelchair.
That's pretty good.
And I was in agony for the whole week. Like my back, my arms, just where I was just
biceps, triceps.
Most of it ever pushed is probably 10 meters. So I'd done that on the Saturday. So that was the first challenge I'd done. And I came out of hospital and I just threw myself into everything because I just wanted to be busy and I wanted to continue to live a life, you know, like my life, I thought it's not stopped. you know. So I actually called the athletics committee whilst I was still in a hospital bed. So there's like obviously athletics for disabled people. And I wrote them an email and said, look, I've been paralysed. How do I get into disability sport? And she called me up and said, hi, Ben, I'm calling up, got your email. And she said, how long have you been paralysed? And I said, about 3 weeks. And she said, oh, you've been out of hospital 3 weeks. I said, no, I'm still strapped to the hospital bed. Like, I'm still...
When can I walk out with you?
And she was like, nobody has ever contacted me while still strapped to the hospital bed. And I literally said, life continues. So that was the first challenge. I'd done a triathlon fairly early on, which was tough. But the first big challenge was the Berlin Marathon. So I kind of thought, right, how can I raise the most awareness for people in wheelchairs? How can I inspire the most people? What could I do? And I thought, right, well, the biggest thing I knew in my head to run or push was a marathon. So reached out to a couple of charities and said, look, can I get a space in a marathon? And the first one, what came up was the Berlin Marathon. So they said, yeah, okay.
Berlin, Germany.
Berlin,
Yeah.
Germany. So I got this space and I thought, right, how can I maximise the amount of exposure I get to raise the most money for Spinal Injuries Association? My friend Josh, my best friend, he has quite a big social media following. He was on a celebrity show and he's very inspiring himself, does a lot of things for charity now off the back of this. And I called him up and said, do you fancy doing the Berlin Marathon with me? And at the time, he wasn't a runner, didn't really run. He said, think about it. I said, well, you've got to do it in a wheelchair with me. Like, I want you to do it in a wheelchair with me because I thought that just raises awareness of it. So he agreed to do it. And we went on this sort of journey of, he went off and started spending his daily life in a wheelchair, training really hard for the Berlin Marathon. And I just didn't want to train. Like, I just wanted to do it from a mindset point of view. Like, I can rock up to that marathon,
show up
with
and
no
do a
training
marathon.
and do a marathon, just because I can control the way I think about things. And this was like what we went on. So
that's slightly cocky.
yeah, but it's not so much cocky. It's just
It's like,
well, I suppose
confidence
you
level.
could look at it. Yeah, like
No, of course,
like
no, it's-
you could look at it from a cocky point. I mean, I've never looked at it, but it probably could come across that way. It's just I have this thing where I don't even know if everybody has it, but I always have two thoughts in my head. Like, you always have, I'm thinking of something now, but there's always another little voice in my head. So I've always got two. And
what do you mean?
just so like I'm thinking to you now, but I've got another little voice in my head which is thinking again. So I'm having like two conversations. So I don't know if that's a normal thing. People have two thoughts.
I think I know what you mean.
But I do these challenges, and it's like when I'm doing a CrossFit workout. Like,
Right.
there's always a voice in my head saying, you're knackered, you're tired, like, stop, like, oh, you're done. But then I've got the other little voice that understands, like, your body has two goals, and that is to survive and reproduce, really. So the voice which is telling me to stop is the one that is just trying to protect me. It don't want me to push myself through all this craziness. 'Cause of
Survival.
yeah, survival. So that's coming from a point of protection. But then I'm like, I have this little voice which goes, he's only trying to trick you to stop because he wants you to survive. So I have this internal battle of like the big voice saying, oh, you're tired, or you're hurting yourself, like, oh, you're doing yourself damage. But then the little voice is like, don't listen. Like, keep pushing. And the bigger that battle I have in my head, when I get to that goal at the end, the more I'm like, yes, like that feeling is so much bigger because I've had to battle for it. So I almost like to make things tough. And
Comfort in discomfort.
yeah, that's right. So it's got me in a lot of muddles because I turn up for things and then halfway around I'm like, what on earth have you done? I wish I'd have trained for this. I wish I'd have done it.
Did you finish this marathon?
Done the marathon, but halfway around I hurt my wrist and I was like, I'd done the whole
42K?
Yeah, for full
Marathon, 42K on a wheelchair.
And I'd literally done it with one hand because this wrist had just gone. And Josh didn't really...
And your friend?
He'd done it with me and he could have gone off and completed it really fast, but he stuck with me the whole way around.
Yeah, because he was trained, right?
Yeah, because he was trained. And that actually ended up being a catalyst for him to go off and do crazy challenges because he felt he trained for it, not used what he trained for. He actually then decided to do John O'Groats to Land's End, which is one end of England to the other, in a wheelchair. And he'd done the whole thing in a wheelchair for charity, and that was tough. Yeah. So something good's come from something bad again. Like that. My accident has actually pushed him on a whole completely different journey to what he was. And
Chinese farmer story.
Yeah, it's just exactly that Chinese farmer story. And that was like the big thing for me to start the Berlin Marathon. I've done recently a swim. So
Of the swim story.
yeah, again, how you come into things that you never once thought you would do. Now before my accident, if I'd have fell in a lake, I could swim to the other side. I never was a proper swimmer where you put your head under, breathe. I'd saved my life. But someone contacted me because my social media grew quite big, so I documented every day from like day one in a wheelchair to day 3, 4, 500, whatever. And it was just a good way of sharing how my day was to my whole family. So I wasn't answering the phone like a million times and telling the same story. I was just like, look,
Check my Instagram.
check my Instagram.
Don't forget to like.
Yeah, so yeah, like, follow. So this obviously gained a bit of traction. Well, with that, you get a few people like, oh, do you want to advertise this, advertise that? And I had a typical or a protein brand. This was not last year, year before. Contact me and said, do you want to do some content for us? I said, yeah, sure. What is it? They said, well, we'll get you to meet 3 Olympians. You'll have a day's training with them, and then they'll set you a challenge. You go away, 8 weeks training, see if you can complete the challenge. You use our supplements all along the way. So that sounds great. So there was a swimmer, a power lifter, and a gymnast. So they come up and was like, right, the swimming one is going to be a 1 mile open water swim. The power lifter was like 1.5 times your body weight on a bench press, which I'm like 95 kilos, which was quite hard. And the gymnast one was like, they wanted me to do a crucifix on the rings. And I was like...
What's a crucifix?
You know where they hold themselves out like this?
Oh, wow.
I was
Yeah,
like,
of course.
That's not even achievable for like 90% of most
You need
humans.
like some pretty strong shoulders.
Yeah, I say yes to everything. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Fine. So the first one was a swim. So we went and met the Olympian swimmer. Done a day's like filming and swimming. So I wasn't really swimming loads.
So you're not a swimmer at all at this moment?
Not at all. No, and certainly not after my accident. Like I don't use my legs. So it's only
just upper body only, just
upper
arms.
body. Yeah. So I didn't even know if I really could swim. Like I'd done a couple of bits in a pool type thing. So they said, we've messed up the filming date. So instead of having 8 weeks training, you've got like 13 days till the race in Lake Windermere. So it's in the Lake Districts in the UK. Beautiful place. So for 13 days, I got in the pool every day, like morning, afternoon, night. Studied it on YouTube every night, which I always do.
You had a coach?
Had a coach. Well, not a proper coach. He was just a lad in the gym. So I used to swim. So I was like, come with me. So it's fine. Right. So I've done 13 days training for it. But I turned up on the day of this thing. And
so 13 days of swimming every day?
13 days. I went from doing 2 lengths nearly dying to like, I could do like 30 lengths in a pool. Oh. But I turned up on the day. It was freezing cold, like a lake. It was like so cold they made everyone put wetsuits on. But very poorly organised. So I just trust people. Okay, I'll do what you tell me.
Yeah. They must know what they are doing there.
There was loads of people doing the swim, but like they just wanted to get the content of me going out, coming in. They didn't care what happened else out there. Loads of safety boats, they told me. And I noticed everybody had these tow floats, they're called. So you tie it around your waist, you pull this float. So if you're ever in trouble, you just
grab it and
have
get
a little
float.
rest.
Yeah.
I didn't have one. I didn't even really have I didn't even question it. Just said, I'll do it, I'll be fine. Mindset again, believing I can do something. But it was so choppy, like so choppy. I couldn't even swim properly because it was just, I'd sort of get my head in and it'd crash over me. And I got halfway round and swallowed loads of water and I just couldn't catch my breath. And I sort of spun over and thought, like, where's the safety boat? Well, because I was so slow, everyone else had gone, they're all proper swimmers. There was no one.
But it was a race?
It was a race, it was a proper race, yeah. So yeah, it's like...
So obviously you are last and every day...
And people, they'd all gone, yeah.
No one's waiting for you, no security, no one following you with a kayak?
There was no camera boat, there was no kayaks, there was no swimmers. I was halfway out in this lake.
Just you?
And I honestly, I've done loads of crazy challenges. And like I said, if I want to quit, I can usually push myself with that little voice. I had to tell myself, I was like, if you do not calm down, you're going to drown. Like, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's no one coming to help you. And I thought, what have you done? So I had to really...
Because when you're in the water, it's different. Like, it's
Mate, I was... That's the closest I think I've ever come to dying. Like, I was so out of breath, so just like, whoa. I just had to calm myself. And then I think the rest of the race, I was just like breaststroke saving my life. Got there, but that was yet again a crazy
that
thing
was
of
survival.
This is just saying yes, believing I can do it. And don't get me wrong, I'd done it, wasn't the most graceful, but I got out and I was like, you nearly killed me. Like, genuinely, you nearly killed me. So
I would have lost my mind.
that was a lesson learned. I've done, I agreed to do a charity bike ride. Like, so I can't ride a bike. You do these things called hand cycles. You lay them and you do it like this. Yeah. So both arms together. 100 miles. Yeah, I'll do it. It's fine. Charity. So I just forgot about it. And I had this hand cycle, not really used it. And they called me up about a week before and was like, are you still okay to do that next week? Yeah, it was fine. I thought, I'll be able to do it. So that day I took myself out in my bike and I went 25 miles away from my house because I thought if I go 25 miles, I've got to turn around and come back. So at least I know I'll do 50. So I'm halfway there. So hard, like so hard. But I'd done it.
Amount.
Yeah, like knackered. But I thought, if I've done 50, I'll do 100. And
yeah, because that's how it works, right?
If
I struggle, the rest is just...
it's easy. If I get halfway, I'm fine.
This is just mine.
So this is my mindset. Well, I'd done that race. I got halfway around. I was so broken, like just knackered. I ended up in hospital after. I'd done the 100 miles, but I ended up in hospital after. I was so exhausted. I ended up getting a water infection. Wow. It was just tough. So, I often do these with no training, get myself in a muddle. But when you achieve it, I get to the end of that and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I've done it. But last year's was probably the biggest, which kind of was out there. I'd done it for Red Bull. So there's
the Clam.
Yeah, it's called the Red Bull 400. So it's the toughest 400-meter race in the world. So in the winter, you get these downhill ski slopes. So, they do the big jump off the end. Yeah. Well, in the summer where there's no snow on them, Red Bull do a race up them. So you kind of let's climb to the start.
Up this field, like a grass field.
It's like 30 degrees or something crazy. Like, so Red Bull contacted me because they've got the Wings for Life charity, which I'm an ambassador of. Very good charity.
What's Wings for Life? Can you tell me a bit more about it?
So Wings for Life is a organisation which was set up by Red Bull. So basically, one of the owners of Red Bull's friend's son had a motocross accident and was paralysed. And obviously took him to hospital and they said, look, we don't care what it costs us. We just want him to be fixed. And they sort of said, look, no amount of money can solve the problem. Like the science isn't there to solve the complex injury of a spinal cord injury. We just can't do it. So Red Bull off the back of that started Wings for Life. And their sole purpose is to one day solve the problem of a spinal cord injury. Now it's 100% backed by Red Bull, so all donations, like they pay for all the administrative running costs of the charity. So every pound that comes in as a donation goes into spinal research because Red Bull pay for the costs of running it. So it's a really, really beautiful thing. And they're making so much progress in solving the problem, which comes back to hope. These people who have a complete injury, Wings for Life is the hope that one day they're going to solve that, and it might not be for new, like existingly injured people, but if you're an 18-year-old lad laying in hospital and there is a cure for it, then, what an amazing thing. So this is why it's a charity which is really close to my heart, because not only are they cool, Red Bull's a cool brand, and I can ring them up and say, look, I've had the idea, I want to walk the whole length of the Great Wall of China, and they'll go, cool, yeah, what do you need? Like, they're just
sponsor you.
Yeah, just that type of brand. But they contacted me and just said,
400.
Do you want to be the first person with a spinal cord injury to do it? Yeah, great, I'll do it, easy. Didn't train again. Like, I don't really know how you train for it. But
you don't learn, do you?
No, don't learn. But we turned up, it was in Austria, and we went there the day
Kids
before.
Ball, is it Kids Ball?
I can't remember where in Austria
there's
it was.
a big, well, anyway. Yeah.
There's a few, they did them all around the globe,
okay.
but we went there the day before and I stood at the bottom of this mountain. I was like, what have you done? Like, not because I didn't think I could do it, but there was a whole team, a camera crew, like they'd put a lot of money in to get me there and do this. And I thought, not even trained for it. Like, I might not even be able to do this now. It's the first time where I thought, oh, you idiot. Because I didn't want to let people down, so much myself.
People have put some money in it, you know, people just
I
showing
walked,
up
they
for
was like,
you.
do you want to just sit? I walked 10 meters and I thought, God, this is steep. Like, this is steep. But I turned up the next day and just backed myself again. Just thought, right, I'll get up there. And it started, I got so far. I mean, I was crawling on my knees for part of it and pulling myself up. But you done it with me, actually. So he was like, helped me at stages. But yeah, it took me like, I don't know, just over an hour, I think, to do.
Yeah.
I got to the top and I was, oh, it's broken. But inspiring again, you know, just to go from, you look back at your journey to one day being told you're never going to stand, to conquering the world's biggest 400-meter race in the world. Like, you know, I don't give myself enough credit for it, really. But when you look back at it, it's a beautiful journey, really.
Incredible, man. I mean, this is just, there's a part of you which is incredibly optimist and strong and brave. But there's also like a crazy part, I think, you know.
Yeah.
You have this,
I
you
enjoy
know, this.
it.
Yeah.
You know, I love a challenge. And I've always loved, if someone says you can't do something, I'm always like, watch you. And this is why, like, I've done things for Red Bull, Wings for Life charity.
This is when pride comes handy, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just self-belief. I don't know. Like, we'd done a Christmas thing for Wings for Life last year where they interviewed us for the charity of, like, you know, how has a spinal cord injury affected you, you know, and with charity, like, sad stories always seem to sell a bit more. People are more keen to donate if there's a sad story. And I went in the interview and they asked me loads of questions, and she contacted me like the week after and said, do you know what, like, we want to put your story in there because it's inspirational, but it's so hard to use because it's almost like you've enjoyed it. She's like, we need a bit of negativity, but
come on,
she's
give us
like,
some
you're
tears,
so positive
give some pain.
and like, you're not.
yeah.
And I have enjoyed it because I love a challenge. And like I said, someone telling you you're never going to walk, never going to be a bigger challenge than that, you know? And although I didn't care,
if you pass that,
if I didn't care if I didn't, you know, I accepted being in a wheelchair. I didn't mind it. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, life in a wheelchair is tough, and you don't realise you can do anything. There is a life after these wheelchairs, and spinal cord injuries and being paralysed. But anything you do is tougher. You know, you can do anything, but it's just harder.
it's gonna be harder.
So, I don't know. I just enjoyed it. Like I said, so for me doing that, yeah, that's just been a bit of an enjoying challenge, really.
Amazing. All right, brother. I got something else for you. Are you still hungry?
Always hungry.
You want to go to the next course?
Let's do it.
That one is from me.
Yeah, this one's from
And I'm
you.
not going to make you cook.
Okay.
I promise. There you go, my brother.
Thank you.
So yeah, classic tortilla. I mean, there's two schools in Spain. Only potato and potato and onion. This one is potato and caramelized onion
Okay.
in the mix.
Right.
Smoked aioli, escabeche, clam, jamon bellota and chive.
A little bit of everything. One
Go
go.
for it. Yeah, it's already I've cut it for you already in before, so you should just dig in.
Perfect.
Dig in and let me know.
Lovely.
The last time we talked on the phone, you told me that there is something new that you brought into your life, which is faith, but like on a religious way, right?
Yeah.
So tell me more about that, because I mean, you seem to me someone that already had so much faith without going to church. So I would love you to tell me like how did you come to this decision to go to church, and why, and what did you learn there? And
Yeah, I suppose when it comes to faith, like someone actually said to me the other week, there's like, you know, when did you find God? And I said, I didn't. Like, God found me. And I think looking back now, like, if you'd have said to me a year ago, would you go to church? I'd have been like, no. Like, although I didn't disbelieve in anything, I've always had an open mind to anything. And, I think anyone who believes in anything, isn't a bad thing as such. But just a few things happened recently which kind of pushed me to wholeheartedly say, right, I believe in God. But looking back on my life, like you said, like you always seemed, or it seems like I had a strong faith. I think I've always had a strong faith that there's a bigger purpose than me, or a bigger purpose in the world. And I think I've always had the outlook that there has to be a meaning to it. Like, why do we only get like 100 years on a planet that's like 13.8 billion years old? Like, there has to be a meaning to it. So I'd always say everything happens for a reason. And then I'd say, well, someone has to give it reason, or something good comes from something bad, or trust the process. Like, I've said them throughout my life. And even after my accident, like I would be somewhere in my wheelchair and I'd have random people come up to me and say, do you know what, you've got such a good energy about you. And they're just random people. I think, why now after my injury? And people, no one said that to me before.
Not before. No.
Like, people would say, oh, nice lad, positive, confident, lovely lad. But no one said I had a nice energy about me or an aura. And I think, without thinking about it, like, now I'm going down a bit more faith and reading a bit more of the Bible. Like, that really is just about trusting the process, believing that God has a plan, and he gives you the grace of God. You do something wrong, like, we're all sinners, like, you'll make mistakes, but he's there to pull you back on it. So I kind of was speaking that message without really fully believing what it was.
You just didn't call it religion.
Yeah. So I think that the blockage I had to believe in God was, like, I had this image of a man with a beard up in the clouds, controlling.
Yeah, we talked about
make
that.
This blow, make this, like, I just couldn't buy into that. Yeah. But I always believed in something. Now, I mean, I've got this cross on here, like, you probably can see it, but I actually got it tattooed on my back now as well. So I'd seen a few TikToks, and I was just found myself listening to things more relating to the Bible. And actually, I'd read the Quran a little bit before this. So I've got a few Muslim friends who are absolutely lovely, and they would send me things about the Quran, and I was So I had like an inkling of faith. And then I was watching TikToks. Well, I had the urge to buy this necklace. Kept popping up on Instagram. I thought, that's pretty cool.
The algorithm.
Yeah, just popped up. So popped exactly that. Yeah. So I brought this necklace, and I put it on, and I thought, that doesn't suit me. It's not for me. So I thought, I'll send it back.
The necklace.
The necklace don't suit me. I'll send it back. Tried to send it back, and they didn't do return.
Obviously.
So I thought, okay, yeah. So I put it on my chest of drawers and just forgot about it. Probably sat there for 2-3 months. Well, one Friday I woke up and I just had the urge to put this on. So I put this necklace on.
You felt it?
Just felt it. I just thought, I'm gonna wear that today. Put the necklace on, went and had my hair cut, and then a friend of mine, his son had got cancer, 12 years old. And I'd had my hair cut, and he called me up and said, oh, Ben, Jake starts chemotherapy tomorrow. I want you to come round and just fill him with positivity, like make him feel invincible. My story, what I've overcome. So I said, of course, I'll drive over. So on the way driving over there, I thought, me looking for everything has a reason, I thought, I know why I've put this on today. I'm meant to give this to Jake. He's a cool little kid, he could wear a cross. If faith is true, it'd be good for him to wear.
Can't lose.
Exactly. So when we got to his house, I sat in his living room. Jake come and sat down beside me. And as he leant forward, a necklace fell out, and he was already wearing a cross. So I said, oh, you've already got a cross on, Jake? He said, yeah. And then his friend came in. He went, oh, I brought a cross as well. We got them together. I said, well, that's strange. And then his dad came in and was like, well, I actually brought a cross yesterday as well. And I said, how strange is that? Like, none of us are really religious, but we're all sat here today wearing a cross. I said, Jake, that's a sign to me you are going to be fine. I said, because I had the urge to put this on today, And had I not, I'd have been the only one sat here without one. Like for me, that's a strong meaning that someone's looking over you. And I think I drove away from that and thought, that was a bit strange, like a bit weird. So
First strike,
yeah. Fast forward a couple of weeks, sat talking to Jude in the living room, and I think I just told him this story about, I said, that was a bit strange. And he went, I took myself to church last week. I think, you took yourself to church? He's like, yeah. He said, I went with my friend. He said he goes quite often. He said, actually, I quite enjoyed it. He said, people just showing you how faith had kind of affected them. He said, he said, I just sort of said, if show me, like when you pray. And I said, well, that's a bit strange. So that kind of just led to me thinking a few more things. And then I took myself to church because I own a gym in town and there's a church next door to it. And the pastor's a lovely bloke and he's always asked me to go. And I just bumped into him one day and he said, why don't you come in and see me? And we sat and just spoke for a bit and I went to church on the Sunday. I still wasn't fully committed to believing in a God. And like I say, probably 4 months ago, I woke up and I said to Mum, why don't you come to church with me on Sunday? She said, I'd love to. That morning, I woke up and just out of curiosity, I made this picture, I painted this picture, and in the middle of it, it says, the things in life that make you rich are free. And I'd done an Instagram story about it. I just said, oh, look, this is something I see every day and I truly believe that. Didn't think anything of it. Jude messaged me and said, do you want to go out for breakfast? And I said, oh, I'm taking Nan to church. Why don't you come? He said, I'll come with you next week. Fine. And then he texted me back and said, actually, I will come with you. He says, it's only going to make my life better. I thought, well, that's nice. So Jude's just started his own business and 19 years old, getting a bit of money, being a bit wasteful with it. New car, new watch.
Jude's your son.
Yeah, and me being a parent, I always try to educate him. Like, don't waste it. Be a bit mindful with it. But he's a young kid, like just trying to, and not be driven by money. Like it's good, but don't let it control you. But you don't often listen, So we went to church, we sat down, and the pastor's whole presentation that Sunday was about money, of how the Bible teaches you to not let it be your master. And, he was just like, wow. Like,
did you talk to the priest before?
I didn't even have a clue, but I'd done that post on social media in the morning, then Jude had come, then I was just like, it's too much of a coincidence that if you'd have said to me, Jude's coming to church next Sunday, what do you want him to talk about? I'd have said exactly that. And it manifested in its own way, like it was God's plan. So that was life-changing for Jude. Like all day he kept saying, I'm going to do this at Christmas. We should help these kids. We should do this. And I'm going to not... And I thought, wow, he needed to hear that. I had an amazing day. And I got out my car that evening and I love stars, the universe. I'll often sit in my garden and just stare at them for ages. And I said out loud, and like I said, I still at this point hadn't committed to like truly believing in a God. I'd done a bit of digging that day with ChatGPT about is God actually represented, as I spoke to you before, as a physical person, and made this debate that maybe not. So I thought, how can I say I believe in something, but why can't I just say it's God? I'm down this journey. And I looked at the stars and I just said, today you manifested you to be there. I feel like that was God's plan. And we ended up in a church. We didn't end up anywhere else. So I said, I wholeheartedly believe you are listening to me. But if you are, show me. And as I said, show me, the biggest shooting star came across the sky. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I often look at it and coincidence or what, that went, and I literally went,
it's like, here, dude.
You can't ask for a sign.
It's mad,
and then go, actually, I need another one. So that was...
Yeah, it's 3 strikes already.
Exactly. That was just so many things had happened. I thought, wow, I'm actually going to lean into this now. And it's new. I don't claim to know everything about it, but I can associate it with my life. I talk to my friends about it, and I just find myself talking about it loads. Like, I enjoy it. I enjoy reading apart the Bible.
How does it bring value to you as someone who always kind of seems like he already got his shit together?
Yeah, it aligns with my philosophies, really.
You just open like a door for curiosity,
yeah,
and you just...
and then I think if there's something in there I don't do, I think, would that make me a better person if I'd done that? I think, yes, it would. You know, so nothing in there has really shown me that it wouldn't make me a better person. And, you know, we're all still going to make mistakes. You know, I'm not perfect. We're not. But I have this bigger consciousness on my shoulder now that says, maybe you should do that, you know? And it's the more I've aligned myself with going to church and doing it, the bigger that comes. And I enjoy it. Like, it does make me a better person. So it's new, and I'm still discovering a lot of it. But I don't see it as a bad thing.
No, of course not. It's beautiful.
And that's happened in the most organic way. Like, you know, if someone had asked
I
me...
didn't look for it, as
I
you
didn't
said.
look for it. Like I
Found
said, you wouldn't have got me in church.
Yeah.
You know, I just would have said, nah, that's nonsense. But just organic things have happened, which have made me be
curious.
curious.
You cannot ignore it.
And then I can't ignore it. And I just think that is almost God's plan. Yeah. So, you know, I'll stand there now and say, I'm wholeheartedly, I'm a Christian. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah. And that's new. And for me,
I love to capture this moment because it's new.
yeah, that's right.
Because you're still like trying to figure it out, like, you know, like how did that happen and what you want to believe in. And
I think, you know, I just, certain things to think of, like how, when you look at Christianity and you understand there's this like battle between, it's kind of like, it's a spiritual warfare as such between like the devil and God, you know, like you're going through life and the devil's dangling cherries, like, well, why don't you just do this? And that could be just even doubt, like self-pity, like, oh, am I good enough? Am I do this?
Sure,
like,
of course.
they just come from a sinful thought, you know, like if you really, the devil wants you to be there because you're not fulfilling your potential. But then by the grace of God, he might do something else which pulls you back on track. And you just battled between this. So,
darkness and light,
one of the
constantly,
biggest things what have come from it now is if I think, maybe I'm going to do this. And then if I just take a moment to think, does that come from a point of the devil's trying to pull me off my track? Or is that a grace of God which is trying to keep me on good? And if I don't think that thought aligns with what I should do, I don't do it. Whereas my whole life I'd have probably gone away and sinned. And that could be lust, that could be whatever. I'm just getting better at not doing it. Yeah, and I think that's just through reading a bit of scripture and kind of believing there's bigger things, yeah.
Amazing. So there is one deathly sin today you're not going to be able to avoid is gluttony.
Yes, right.
Perfect transition.
Yes, right. Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, but so I'm gonna serve you dessert now. If you still have some space after this massive tortilla.
My daughter has this theory that everyone has a dessert pouch.
She's a very wise young woman.
She is the most wise, actually, and she has been from a kid. Like, she just says...
How old is she now? 17?
She's 17. She says the right things at the right time. Yeah. I can remember being in hospital. So they didn't allow the kids to see me for the first part because I was in a bad way. And people knowing me, everyone would come in and say, look, Ben, if anyone's going to beat this, you will. And, you know, they just meant it from a point of positivity, like just giving me that hope. And everyone says, anyone's going to beat it, you will, you will. First day she came to see me, she was, like I said, 10 years old. She walked in and was like, right, Dad? Yeah, she's like, don't matter if you can't walk. She said, I'll still live with the same in a wheelchair. And I thought, you know what? She's the first person to just accept it and just say, like, Dad, it don't matter. Like,
yeah, she already accepted it before everyone else.
She didn't want to fill me with hope. You know, she didn't come in and say, "Oh, you're going to do this." She was just like, "Look, this is it.
Okay.
I love you." And I was like, just from such an innocent mind, the best thing I could have heard. And
telling the truth.
Just deep down, that was just wisdom, you know. And I was like, no, that's exactly the right way to look at it. So yeah, she's a very inspirational little girl, woman.
A woman, right?
Yeah.
17 years. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
All right. My man, I'm going to serve you desserts. All right, there you go. So here you got a Bailey's Crème Brûlée. Because you told me you love coffee also.
Yeah.
Bailey's Crème Brûlée, and that's an almond cake. It's called a Financier in French. So it's almonds, butter, eggs, egg whites, sugar.
Which one do you eat first?
Eat them the way you want, my friend. Enjoy.
Definitely gonna go. Thank you.
They go well together. Enjoy.
This is my favourite dessert, actually.
It's very good. Ben, thank you so much for coming, for sharing your incredible story and your mindset, man, your optimism, and the way you've been looking at living your life and looking at the challenges you've been through. I think it's so inspiring for myself. I think the next time I hurt my foot to hitting a table or something, I would think twice about, crying about it. And I really hope some people get inspired by your story. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Food's been amazing.
Amazing.
And I think I'll be full for a week.
No dinner tonight.
No dinner.
No agua madera tonight.
No,
huh?
it's all right. No, all right. Chill.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Will you ever try the food today?
Sorry, it's the wrong dish. Yeah.
I hope you're not allergic.
We'll soon see.
It's good?
Yeah. Don't try it.